This motherfucking lighting is terrible. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. I just want to share something really quickly. Throughout my life and when I was, around my relatives, when I had to be around them because I was a minor and couldn't do anything, I used to wonder, like, why the mistreatment and the abuse was so strong my way. Now, most people in my family have been abused by partners or, their parents or other people in the family, but people, they saw it and there was some type of rectifying, there was some type of validation, like, oh, you had it hard because your mom was abusive, your mom was poor, yada yada yada. And my relatives proved that they could compensate, like make up for what certain family members, most of the family members, were lacking. But in my case, there was no like redemption, there was no rectifying anything, there was no understanding. And I'm just like, and then this pattern has continued like in the workplace and in friendships and stuff like that. And I just be wondering, like, what do it be? And it's because, for one, people feel that because I don't have a support system and a natural, that I'm a target. So they feel like, they're going to get away with doing things to me. But secondly, it's because I do hold people accountable. And people, I do not accept their shame when they try to hold, when they get upset, because usually that's one of the defense mechanisms is, you don't understand, you're crazy, you're misreading, yada yada, blah blah blah. Like, the common phrases that people say when they don't want to accept accountability. And so I would hold people accountable through distance, through silence, or through naming what they did, or exploding on them. And I realized that in our society, we don't have that anymore. People shame those who seek revenge, who seek justice, and those who hold righteous anger and indignation. They shame those who seek wrath, who have wrath and fury, and hold those accountable. And it's been this theme of, oh, turn the other cheek. Oh, you don't return evil for evil. You be kind. You let God deal with it. You let this, you let that. That has never set well with me. Even when I was knee deep in Christendom, that has never set right with me. Just allowing people to get away with harm without checking them or getting angry with them. Either physically defending yourself or cussing their ass the fuck out. And that is how the system of abuse keeps going. And most people, people who say, oh, you shouldn't seek retribution or revenge, they fall into two categories. One, they pussy. You just a pussy. You don't have no self-esteem, you have no self-respect, and maybe that was beaten out of you. Maybe this is a trauma response for you to freeze. But, one, they're pussy. They don't know how to stand up for themselves. And so their version of standing up for themselves is to recruit other people into being pussy. Like, an abusive dad in the home is going to give, the most basic mom, dad, children. And dad's whooping everybody's ass in the house. And mom just, not standing up for herself, not standing up for her children or in the workplace. Like I said, I wasn't the only one that was bullied in the workplace at Brio, but people who were bullied as well, they were encouraging me to not speak up. They would discourage me. And then, two, they are either a perpetrator of abuse or a fucking enabler of abuse, and they benefit from other people being abused around them because it means, oh, I'm not the target. So you shut your target ass up, because if you keep talking, ain't no telling what this abusive motherfucker's gonna do. And I'm afraid, that I'm gonna be the next target, and they're all pussy. But yeah, I remember one time when I first realized the power of my words and the power of me standing up for myself. My aunt, she was very controlling. So she, in the state of Michigan, the state would pay for childcare up until the age of 13. So I was in daycare until the age of 13 because, my aunt, she was a very fucked up individual. But anyway, she wanted to keep the leash on us so fucking tight. So she had us in daycare till I was 13, till my little brother was 10. And then once, they stopped providing the free childcare for me, then I became the babysitter of my terrible little brother. And, my brother and I just did not get along. He was just a disrespectful little bitch, and I could not stand being around him or any of my relatives when I was a kid. Like, yes, I have good memories, yada, 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 but when I reflect back, my nervous system was at peace when I wasn't around him or my aunt, and anybody in my family. And so we were at the daycare one day, and, this was a very common thing for us to fight at daycare because he would start some shit, call me a bitch or do whatever. And my aunt, my family, a lot of the women in my family are very male centered, so they pick the wrong partners, prioritize men over themselves and their children. And the women, when they have sons and daughters, they prioritize their sons over their daughters. So, my aunt, she would never hold my brother accountable because she was afraid of him, but I wasn't afraid of my brother. Again, I hold them all accountable. So, I didn't have her there to say anything. And so one day we got to fighting, and we used to fight. And so we were fighting or whatever, fighting, cussing each other out. Finally stopped, and then my aunt came, and so the daycare person had told my aunt because they were so upset that we were fighting. But it's like, I don't give a fuck. Again, that cycle of abuse that they're trying to keep going. Oh, you shut the fuck up while he cuss you out, hit you, pull your hair, and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, I'm gonna fight him and I'm gonna cuss his ass back out. And so we get home that night. And so my aunt is like asking us about it. And I just remember like standing up to him, like standing up. And I was like, you gonna quit talking to me like that. I'm not none of your friends, and you not gonna disrespect me. And when I tell you my aunt got so goddamn mad, she immediately started beating me. Like, she got so fucking mad that I spoke very clearly and very powerfully. And she did not want me to continue doing that because She knew she was abusive towards me. She was allowing her adult son to be abusive towards me, and she was allowing my younger brother to do it. And anytime, it's time to humiliate me or taunt me, she would always recruit other individuals. She would put my business out there. And so she felt and she knew that I knew that she was wrong. But at this point in time, I'm speaking up to my brother. And, before that had happened, my aunt had found a letter. Well, not a letter, but I had wrote, it was like a Harriet the Spy book, and it was a chapter book. And I think I was like 7 or 8. This is when I first started living with her. And I wrote a note in there that pretty much said that I hated her and that I couldn't wait for me to be away from her. And I think I said I wish that she would die. I'm not really sure, but I don't know if she found that. But, that was something that she held over my head till I was like 24 or 25. Oh, yeah, well, you finally got your wish. You're finally away from me. And it's like, yeah, I'm glad too. And now I can finally settle myself. Now I can finally sleep good at night because I'm not living with you. But I said all that to say, have your anger, cuss people out, and do what you have to do to defend yourself. The court system, these other systems, they don't want people to stand up. They don't want people to rise up. They want everybody to be low functioning. They don't want people to get a hold of that righteous anger. They want you to sit on it and develop autoimmune disorders and strokes and heart attacks and cancer and inflammation and this, that, and the third, instead of you releasing it by standing up for yourself, being artistic, exercising, and doing other things to channel that energy. So own your anger, express your anger, and don't ever let nobody get over on harming you or being disrespectful or harmful or abusive in any fucking way. It is time we hold abusers accountable. It is time that we stop allowing people to abuse others, especially children, especially the disabled, especially the fucking elderly, especially women.